of the Small Business Big Presence Show. We are your hosts, Madison Black
and Roy Manatunga.
And today we're breaking down the 3 things your business absolutely needs before you even consider running Facebook ads.
For sure, I'm excited to get into this one. This is these 3 things are really good chunky stuff for basically your digital presence.
Absolutely. And I think we're going to do a pretty high level overview and we'll get into more detail no doubt in future episodes, but we thought it's really important because Facebook ads are one of those things that everyone seems to just go, that's the solution, let's run some Facebook ads and that will solve all my online
Chuck
problems.
some money in it and you have to get money back in return.
And that's where the problem comes in, truthfully, is that most people don't understand what you really need to be getting those ads to actually have a return on investment. You need some ROI.
Yeah.
But before we dive into what the 3 things are, we wanted to really quickly talk about what the customer or sales journey looks like. Because it's really important to understand from a online perspective what that will look like for your business so that you can start to understand which parts of that are maybe the holes that your business needs to plug before you start running some Facebook ads.
Yeah, and so this journey is basically from someone who doesn't know your brand to becoming a loyal, raving fan. Is that correct?
Well, and I'd even go further as to say it's not just being a fan, but actually a paying customer.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, but you're right, because I think the first stage is actually becoming that raving fan or a follower. So there's kind of four steps to really simplify things. So they start off being a follower, so they've found your business, they're building some know, like and trust, and then they might decide to engage with some of your content, whether it be Facebook Live, maybe it's a blog, maybe it's an offer that you have out there. And from that stage, the third stage is that they actually then do some kind of call to action. So that might be opting into your email list or downloading a freebie that you have or something like that, maybe doing a quiz that you've put together. Or booking a discovery call.
Yeah.
Could be another.
Yeah.
And then from there, they actually are upsold into a service and they actually spend money with your business. And of course, there's many levels that can happen at the sales stage, but from a first sale kind of perspective, you're going from follower, engaging with your content, doing some kind of call to action, and then upselling into an offer.
Yeah, exactly. And like what we want to touch on with Facebook ads is there can't be any holes in that journey, in that bucket. So if there's no opt-in or like if there's no call to action, how are they going to take that step to becoming a paying client, basically?
Absolutely. And it needs to be fully in operation and converting successfully, organically.
Yeah. This
is the thing. If you think that ads are going to be the thing that actually starts making people purchase, you're just so wrong, and we don't want you to be that wrong. You want people who are already in your audience, who already understand you, to be making those micro and macro commitments to your business to prove that what you're actually doing is on the right path. And then you use ads just to amplify.
Yeah, exactly.
And so it's really important that you don't use ads to plug any holes and that you are amplifying them just so you're getting more of those same conversions that you're already knowing and loving.
Yeah, exactly. It's just putting the foot on the brake, foot on the accelerator.
Absolutely. So that's kind of the sales journey that we're going to be discussing. And of the 3 things that we think you need before you even start considering ads, the first one is not going to be very surprising to anyone who's been listening to the show for the last 10 episodes. Facebook page.
What about your Facebook page do you need it to be doing?
Well, you need it to be an actual example of where your raving fans live. If you haven't figured out how to be getting your page to be organically attracting people in and having them consistently engage with the content that you're creating, then you're just not on the right track yet, especially if you want to run Facebook ads. Your page is really going to be an impact on how well your ads work in the future. Yeah,
exactly. And so those last 10 episodes are basically what we're doing there to really go through the Facebook page growth loop, build it around your ideal client, your ideal follower, someone who's going to engage, creating consistent content that is engaging. All those aspects add up to providing that highly converting Facebook page and then ad.
Absolutely. And so it's important, as to Rory's point there, that you do understand who your ideal customer is. We've harped on and on about this, and you can listen to a whole heap of past episodes to hear all that we have to say about ideal customer. Beyond that, you also want to know what the customer journey within your business is. So again, as we spoke about at the beginning, what's that foundation? How are they engaging? What's the first call to action? And then how are they going to start purchasing from your business? And beyond that, even understanding of your offers, what's the intro offer? What's the first little small kind of dip their toe in the water offer that you provide? And then what are the steps that they go through to kind of start purchasing into bigger offers that you have? We often use the example of a hairdresser. Someone might come in for a trim to test out a hairdresser, and they're probably going to want to build a bit of a relationship before they're starting to buy some of those higher price services like colouring or hair extensions.
Yeah.
So what is that journey, and what does it look like specific to your business? And then what are the offers that you have available right now that could be enticing people to engage with your business based on the content that you're putting out? And you want to make sure that all of that is very well established and that you can kind of say it off the top of your head kind of thing. Like, you don't want to have this be something that's totally new. Obviously it's going to be in the beginning, but you want it to be really, like, it is a foundation. You want it well laid, understood by you, understood by your team if you have one, so that it's really obvious when a customer asks how to do business with you and you know exactly how to answer that question.
Yeah, exactly.
So what are the other elements we need our Facebook page to really have in order for us to have it be a strong piece of this puzzle?
Well, it definitely needs to have a really consistent brand.
Absolutely.
And really strong, so that people, because that brand will translate, people will recognize that brand, and that'll translate to your ads where you use the same brand, and they'll recognize that just as another part of your presence on their newsfeed, basically.
Absolutely. Branding is something that I think people get really confused by, but also potentially take for granted in the small business space. It is so important, you know, when we talk about things like opt-in pages or sales pages, a lot of the reason that they fail is because they don't look the same as where they came from, wherever they were directed by. And it's important that your brand just look the same everywhere. Every single time your business turns up online, every single time any posts that you put to your Facebook page, you're using the same colours, you're using the same fonts, you're using the same imagery, your logo is consistent. You want to make sure that that is consistent across everywhere, be it your Facebook page, website, wherever else, so that your customers are starting to form a visual connection with your business, and they feel that trust when they do go to your website, say from your Facebook page, to understand, I am in the right place.
Yeah, exactly. It's part of that sort of that non-verbal communication.
Absolutely.
That, was it 80-90% of what you say, and that translates across to digital marketing where it's a lot more visual.
Well, when you don't have tonality or body language, I think that's a really great way to put it, actually, that 7% of what we say is actually how we communicate or what we pick up from communication, and that 93% is all based in terms of verbal communication on tonality and body language. Whereas online, you don't have those at your disposal. So you've got the words, which probably do have a higher percentage, but the only other thing that's really supporting you there is your brand.
Yeah, exactly.
The next thing would be content, and Rory brought this up, that it does need to be consistent. We can't stress enough how consistency, or the lack thereof, is part of the reason that customers lose faith in a business, because they stop showing up, they stop having them in their sites, they stop seeing, you know, examples of their authority in whatever industry it is that you work in, and that can be super damaging. If you all of a sudden pop up and are asking for their money without having consistently given them lots of value in the beginning on your Facebook page, you're just not going to see any conversions, and at least in what we have experienced.
Yeah, exactly.
The next one, Rory, do you want to do the next one?
So that's where your engagement comes in, and I guess that's what our growth loop has been all about. Ultimately, getting engagement, getting people commenting, getting people sharing, and then reactions as well are nice, but not the cream of the crop. But you want to, as part of that consistent content, also have consistent engagement, so consistent activity on your page.
And always be monitoring that to make sure that what you are putting out is what your audience want, and what they do want, you're producing more of. without going overboard. You don't want to, if they're like, oh, that one post went really well, we've got to do only that kind of post from now on, like, within reason.
Yeah.
And then the last thing you want to be seeing is growth. You want to be seeing your Facebook page consistently grow, and it's not necessarily the case that it's just going to grow organically on its own. Yes, hopefully through the great posts that you're doing and through people sharing your post with their friends and that kind of thing, you will see some growth that way. But you also need to be going out and finding those audiences of other people's, as we've spoken about in a previous episode. I believe it was episode 9.
Yeah. BigPresentsShow.com/9.
You can go and see all the different ways that we suggested that you could actually be going and finding new audience members by showing up in other places online and in person and directing them to your Facebook page.
Yeah, exactly. I think before we tie off that, why is it important to have this highly functional Facebook page in relation to Facebook ads?
Well, firstly, firstly it has to do with your raving fans. I mean, a lot of times the way people will suggest that you run Facebook ads is by finding lookalike audiences, which basically means that Facebook ads go out searching for people who are similar to people who already follow your page. So if you have people following your page that aren't really part of your ideal audience and you haven't become specific and you haven't been proving to yourself and to them that, you know, you're a match, then you can actually end up spending money to go and find the wrong people. Yeah. Which is only going to mean that they're not going to purchase and all of that kind of thing. On top of that, a page that is really low engaging is actually going to be charged more by Facebook ads to go and find whomever, because they don't have as much data to prove that what you're doing is right and to know who your ideal audience is again. So even if you're not doing lookalike audiences, you want your page to be highly engaging and be getting great organic reach and engagement on your posts, so that then when it comes to ads, your cost is going to be a lot lower, which is great for you, and means that you're going to be converting at a higher rate.
Yeah, exactly. Awesome.
So that's the first step of your Facebook page. Roz, do you want to talk? I think the second step is or the second thing that you want to be converting well before you do Facebook ads is a bit more your area of expertise.
So basically the second aspect is having a functional, user-friendly website. And the reason why this is important relating to your Facebook ads is that it's the follow-up of your Facebook ads. Often you'll have a Facebook ad go to your offer basically, and your offer is housed on your website because that's where you take payment, that's where you get their details, etc. And that needs to be really smooth across responsive designs across mobiles, iPads, because often not most of us are surfing on our mobiles, on our iPads. And
especially from a social media standpoint.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we really need to think about what the user, how the user is going to interact with our content, which is great. To your point, most people, and I haven't got the statistic, but most people are interacting with Facebook from a mobile. And sometimes as small business owners, we can forget that because we spend our days on our laptops and maybe are doing most of our Facebook time on the desktop version of Facebook, which is just not the experience that our customers are most likely to experience. So it is so important that our website have a really strong and user-friendly mobile experience that helps them very easily transition from Facebook or anywhere else to the website to actually complete that purchase.
Yeah, exactly. So another aspect of your website is it should be consistent with your brand. So again, this is your overall business brand that you've put out effectively on your Facebook page. You move on to your website and it needs to be the same brand so that people aren't having a disconnect between when they've clicked on the ad, they know you, they're a raving fan on Facebook, they come across your website, and if it looks completely differently, it's quite jarring and it's going to lead to poorer results.
But at least a confusion in their mind as well, because they think, oh, I must have gone to the wrong place or they've given us the wrong link. There's a lot of doubt that's created.
Yeah, exactly. And that just takes away from that know-like trust.
And it can be so smaller, it's amazing from what I see of sales pages and opt-in pages that it doesn't take that much for people to lose faith in what they're looking at. But it doesn't take a lot on the part of a business owner to build that trust
to tweak
by just being consistent with your brand.
Yeah, exactly. So another aspect of it is having all your information up to date on your website. So I've seen quite a few websites in some of my audits that I've conducted and across my experience on the web is having out-of-date pages, having offers that expired sometimes up to 3 years ago, Christmases ago, and that just looks like no one's paying attention. And so why am I going to buy from someone who's not paying attention? Because that means they're not going to pay attention to me, and it all falls apart there.
Well, I also feel like when I look at those websites, and admittedly I'm not your average consumer because I know too much about online business, but I also think, are they not offering this anymore? Again, it raises those questions of doubt of, this is an old offer, and what happens when I ring up? Are they going to try and sell me on something else that I'm not familiar with? I feel like a lot of consumers find websites a great place to kind of dip their toe into figuring out if they want to work with a business by looking at their pricing or looking at their offers. And if you have to make that next step of a phone call, which we've kind of fallen out of the habit of as a society because of having things like Facebook and websites, then you can actually, again, lose potential customers by not having that information be up to date. Yeah,
exactly. And this is particularly across in, say, restaurants and such who have outdated menus or don't have menus or
things. There's nothing worse than turning up to a restaurant and it have an item that you were looking for on the menu that no longer exists.
No longer exists, exactly.
That's definitely happened to me, mostly with chocolate restaurants.
So the next aspect is one that's, I think it's not as overlooked as it once was, but having compelling copy is essential on your page. And it doesn't have to be a lot of copy. It doesn't have to be paragraphs. In fact, it needs to be the opposite. It needs to be engaging, something to skim and with that to a point. Yeah, skim to a point to again funnel you towards that call to action. So whether that's downloading the opt-in, whether that's getting a coupon, whether that's buying an upsell, it needs to be directing, always, every word, every letter on the page needs to be concise and to the point, directing people to make that action.
And while I totally agree with you that I think compelling copy is more recognised nowadays, I question how much emphasis is put onto it from a small business perspective, because I feel like, I mean, it's different when you're in person. You have that ability, again, you've got tonality and body language and things at your disposal to kind of coerce a sale out of someone who might not be so, like, maybe still a bit sitting on the fence. But again, when you only have a digital presence to do all of that work for you, you do have to have all the elements working for you. You need that brand, you need the copy that kind of speaks to their pain points and has done a little extra kind of work that you maybe didn't need to do in store or in person.
Yeah, exactly. And so that comes to our next point about having the calls to action very obvious, using a color that contrasts with your website on your buttons. It's great so that people are drawn, their eyesight is drawn to that action step, which is often a button. And everything should be very obvious and clear, so you don't have to go search to get that call to action. Because again, that's just another sort of potential doubt, confusion, frustration that'll say, okay, let's pull the pin entirely and jump.
I agree. And I think also, in addition to that, it's also about having obvious steps in unlikely places. For instance, on a blog post, if someone's found you through an organic Google search or something like that, and they've read this article and they've really vibed with it, you don't want to just leave them with like, oh, that was interesting information. You want to be giving them that obvious, like, oh, okay, you've built the need from reading this article, and now it's the obvious next step for me is to book a call with you because I want to know more about myself in regards to this article that I read or whatever it may be. Yeah. But you want to have it be really obvious at wherever on their website, how they can take the next step with you. You don't want to make that complex or hard for them to find.
Yeah, exactly. And so that, I guess another aspect of you having that good presence on your website is having content there that's, again, up to date, but it needs to be consistent content. And that could be a blog, could be some Facebook Lives, having your social media, your Facebook page presence on there as well, just to show that there's up-to-date content and that there's something for people to engage on, and like it just reinforces the fact that you know what you're talking about, you've made sense that you're an authority, and again it just adds to that trust and that know factor as well.
Absolutely. And then the final thing is actually driving traffic, which content really is the thing that's going to help drive it there, be it that you shared that content on your Facebook page, or whether you've been mastering your SEO and getting organically rated in Google search results. You really want to be making sure that that traffic is being pretty consistently driven to your website, and that you're monitoring that, be it through Google Analytics, or I'm not sure if there are other analytics. This is your area.
I think for like everyone, Google Analytics, especially for starters, is all you need, and especially for small business, service-based business, is all you need.
Absolutely, but you really want to be making sure, again, before you're even considering looking into doing ads, that you have that traffic organically coming to your website day in and day out, week in and week out, month in and month out, to prove that your website's content is valuable, that the sales pages and things like that are converting people, and that sales are actually coming through.
Yeah, exactly.
And then our third and final thing that you're going to need to have before you even start thinking about running ads is funnels. And if you're not super familiar with funnels, basically a funnel is a step-by-step automated process by which your follower can go from, I suppose, being on your Facebook page to completing a sale, and you don't have to have any involvement in it. It's all set up via your website. So, I mean, we've kind of touched on it in what we've spoken about with the Facebook and the website side of things anyway, but it is important to know what that step-by-step journey is going to look like for your customers, your potential customers. Yeah,
exactly. And I think like these are the sort of things that is all supported by having the engaged Facebook page, having the user-friendly and functional website. It adds and it uses those tools to help guide them along without any touch points from yourself.
Absolutely, and we're going to be doing a whole host of episodes in the future on funnels. So like we said, this is a pretty high level view, but to give you a really basic example of what they might look like, if someone's engaged with your content, they might then be encouraged to opt into a download that related to that content. After they've opted in, which they've gone to a page, they've popped in their name and email address, and then they've received that piece of content via email, then on the thank you page of the website, they might be prompted to, well, why don't you try purchasing this, $9 ebook, or this $9, like a tripwire type small product, small barrier to entry that they go, oh, well...
Yeah, a no-brainer.
A no-brainer that's related, again, to the content and the opt-in that they've just absorbed. And from there, then they might be put into an email sequence where then they may be looking to be upsold into other more expensive offers, where they just go further and further along that customer journey. But basically, you have that all set up. So again, you don't actually have to do any of the follow-up and know who's come in and who hasn't. That is all just handled by your website and by your email automated campaigns, to the point where then they're purchasing into your business further and further.
Yeah, exactly.
So those are the three things. So just as a recap, you want to have a really well engaged Facebook page that people are consistently engaging with your content, sharing, it's consistently growing. You want to have a website that's super user friendly, really up to date, and has all the elements that it needs to be well branded against everything else, as well as converting sales. And then your funnel's established so that you can see step by step people are going through the journey, and you can already find any holes and correct them before you're putting any money into ads in the hope that they will correct the holes, because they just won't. And now it's time to make it real, because after all, we don't want you to listen to all of those steps and not take any action to fill the gaps in your business that you could be very easily doing in order to make those funnels work really well. And so the first place we think you should start is to go and do an evaluation of your Facebook page to make sure that it is converting it where it should be, seeing as it is the first step of the 3 that we outlined. And we've got an evaluation tracker and planner that you can download over at bigpresenceshow.com/evaluate to get you started. However, if you're interested in getting more juicy detail about where you could be improving your funnels and your digital presence, we'd love to invite you to book one of our digital presence audits where one of our team will actually go through and audit your website and up to 3 of your social media channels to give you a really comprehensive list of exactly what you need to be doing to improve those in order to get everything working together and smoothly. And so you can go and book one of those by heading to bigpresentshow.com/audit.
And that's all for episode 11 of the Small Business Big Presence Show.
Be sure to tune in next week when we're going to examine the 3 pieces of Facebook prime real estate that you need to be staging effectively to drive action.
Until then, keep creating big impact in your small business with your big presence.
Thanks so much for joining us, and we will see you next week.
Remember, 62% of consumers use Facebook to help inform their buying decisions. Don't let your Facebook page stop one of your customers from investing in your small business. Get the lowdown on the 4-step system we teach our students to help transform their pages and turn presence into profit. And to be the first notified when we drop a new episode, be sure to subscribe to the show. Head on over to bigpresentshow.com/subscribe to get started.